everybody, and welcome back to episode 3 of Four Guys Talking Sports, the podcast. My name is Luke Lograno.
I'm Ryan Hicks.
I'm David Axel.
And I'm Lawrence Lograno.
Welcome back, gentlemen.
How are we doing?
Doing fantastic.
All right.
Happy to be here. We've got a big docket today, so how about we just jump right into it? Sound good?
Let's do it.
Cool. All right. So, as you gentlemen know, less than 24 hours after recording last week's show, the Patriots released Antonio Brown from the team, and AB said on Twitter that he is done with the NFL. He has since deleted some tweets attacking Robert Kraft and has re-enrolled in classes at Central Michigan with his free time. But agent Drew Rosenhaus said on Warren Sapp's podcast that a few teams have contacted him about giving AB a potential tryout. Now, guys, do you think we have seen the last of AB in the NFL, or do you think we're going to see him back anytime soon?
He'll be back eventually. I don't know if it'll be this season, but it seems like he's in shape. He's got the talent. I mean, he has a chance to have more receptions than Jerry Rice does, just where he is in the all-time standings. So he's got the talent. It's not something that I think is going to really last forever. Maybe he'll get a college degree. That'd be kind of cool, I guess. He probably only needs one more year. I don't know how long he was at Central Michigan at first. Do you guys know?
I have no idea how long he was at.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I think one day he'll be back.
see, my thing with that is if you don't conform to how the Patriots run things, is any team going to want to take a shot on you? Because if you run wild in an organization that's known for not letting people run wild, any GM, any owner, any coach is going to get walked all over if you sign him.
Yeah, these guys' their job is to win, though. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of bad teams out there that would give this guy a shot for a cheap deal. And what's the worst? You cut him in 2 weeks like the Pats did. There's no guarantee money in football.
He's not gonna take a cheap deal. That's the thing.
Well, he's not going to get anything else, so that's it. You know.
That's why I think that's why he's done playing football. I don't see him coming back. I don't see him coming back in the near future.
Do you think we could see Antonio Brown in the XFL, Ryan?
No, I really don't, because I think that he wants big time money and big time ratings, and I think the only reason he would go to the XFL if he was trying to sell something else. He's on this whole big AB brand thing now, so if he comes out with a whole bunch of stuff, he goes to the XFL to promote that, but to legitimately play football, no. Does Vince McMahon hire him as an actor to cause controversy and make headline news? Sure. But to legitimately catch footballs and be a good athlete, I don't think so.
Lawrence, do you have any take on this?
I want to stop talking about this guy. I do. I want to stop talking about him. I want to stop giving him attention. I don't like it.
I hope this is the last we actually hear of him. Because
I do too. Because you're right, though. He's going to come back and play.
And it's probably not going to be the season, but he'll probably come back next year, and he'll play for, like, the Dolphins or, like, probably not the Dolphins. They really suck. But he'll play for, like, a team like the Jaguars, you know, or, like, maybe the 49ers because it would be a cool optic. And they don't have any receivers, you know. One of those teams is going to take a shot on this guy.
The thing I found so funny was after he got cut, I had person after person texting me being like, oh, how do you, like, sucks to be you, like, it didn't work out, like, you look like a fool, like, the Patriots are a joke, and, like, I just kind of found it funny. Like, Luke was the first person I saw after I saw the news, and I was just, like, laughing, because it really didn't matter. If anything, it gave what typically is an unbelievably boring preseason for the Patriots a little bit of excitement. Like, I was able to check Twitter on week 2 of the preseason, which normally I would never do. Like, that part was fun, or the second game, like, it added entertainment. I enjoyed that. Whether or not he legitimately played, like, would have been cool if he ripped 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns from Tom Brady? Sure. Now that he's gone, is it a huge deal? Not really. We're still winning football games, so it doesn't really matter.
Still Ryan, Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, great story. Didn't work out. New England's still going to New England. It is what it is.
Ryan's totally correct. Ryan was the most cool, calm, and collected over any Pats fan that I spoke to regarding the AB release. And we were both in agreement that this was not going to affect anything that the Patriots did. This was
right.
obviously not going to throw a wrench in anything. It was merely a supplement to the amazing season that they're having and the amazing season that they're going to continue having.
Yep.
All right. Well, to Grant Lawrence's wishes, we can stop talking about Antonio Brown. Hopefully,
Thank God.
For Steve.
Done with that fucking guy.
On another note, we have someone returning to the NFL after missing some time. Reports say Melvin Gordon will be returning to the Los Angeles Chargers after holding out over a contract dispute. Gordon's first game back will likely be Week 5 against Denver. But do we think this was a smart move for Melvin Gordon?
To hold out? No, it just blew up in his face. That's what all of this is.
I don't understand why you come back. Like, well, I want to know what happened in the background, because I feel like when you're holding out, you have to do it the Le'Veon way, where if you're going to get into the season and they're not going to give you the money you want, you got to stick to your guns and you got to ride the wave. And I feel like at this point, he's just kind of like walking back with his tail between his legs, just being like,
he can't afford it. Le'Veon could afford it.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Is
this kid hasn't made that much money. What's it like? His fourth now NFL season, fifth,
something like that. And he'll be on a new team next year for sure.
He's that talented, which is why he thought this would be fine. But they have the backup running back crew. So, when he comes back, he might not even be the feature back because of how well Eckler and Jackson have played. You know?
Jackson hasn't gotten too many.
No, it's really been all Austin Eckler. But how are you going to now take the ball out of Austin Eckler's hands with what he's doing?
Well, definitely. And he's more of a pass-catching back, too, so he'll be in on third downs.
Right, so you're just going to split time between those two. Who knows what Gordon's actually going to even get? Now his value has tanked. Hitting his free agent market, he thought he could duplicate what Le'Veon did, and it's just not realistic. Running backs just aren't that valuable. That's really what it comes down to.
He's had 2 good seasons the last 2 years, though. They've been top 10.
But when you get a guy like Minka Fitzpatrick or Jalen Ramsey who says, I want to be traded, they're going to get traded. Right. This guy says, I want to be traded. What happens? No team wants to trade Melvin Gordon.
Yep.
No one. They didn't get an offer. It's the reason he's still on the team. They didn't get a first-round pick. But the Jaguars probably will get a first-round pick for Jalen Ramsey in the next 2-3 weeks.
I agree with that.
Do you really foresee Jalen Ramsey moving, David? Because my philosophy of this whole thing, I think we spoke about it last week, was that I think Jalen Ramsey is too high of a talent for them to just kind of dispose of.
That is, that's the thought, but he's not there anymore. Like he's not with the team. He said he's going to come back when he's ready.
There's a bunch of
had a child.
Yeah, so there's been a bunch of erroneous reasons. Like he got the flu earlier this week.
There's going to be he's going to find a way to not play, and they're going to get sick of it, and they're going to trade him, which is what he wants, and they will get a first-round pick because who wouldn't give a first-round pick for Jalen Ramsey at this point? I've seen offers of teams giving first and thirds.
Listen, if Jalen, the Jaguars have all the leverage here. They do. They have all the leverage. They can keep him, but the trade deadline's pretty soon in football. Are they going to want to give up?
Yeah.
Right. So are they going to want to give up a potential haul? And this guy's just being a pain in the ass the entire time. He's a diva.
Right. Exactly.
So I think he goes. I think David's right.
And Gordon is just not as valuable, so he's not going.
Running back.
That's really it. Yeah.
Running back.
All right. Well, looking back at last Sunday, we saw 6 quarterbacks make their first starts for their new teams. We had Daniel Jones, Teddy Bridgewater, and Kyle Allen all come away with the win, while Mason Rudolph, Luke Falk, and Josh Rosen all came up short. So, with that being said, which quarterback are we still having the highest hopes for in the coming weeks? David, you seem very opinionated on the young quarterbacks. Would you like to start?
This is a tough issue because a lot of them have played well. I'm sticking with Daniel Jones, though. I mean, he had a great week last week, which I did say was going to happen. Right? Did I say that? I don't remember, but
I hope so for your sake.
I'm pretty
sure.
You
can't remember your own hot takes, David?
Pretty sure last show I said who's going to have the best game is going to be Daniel Jones, and he did have the best game, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to continue to ride that wave. He might win Rookie of the Year. Right now, if I had to predict the Rookie of the Year, I think it would be Daniel Jones.
Wow.
Over Kyler. Kyler has not been stellar. Kyler's been good, not stellar though. And Jones has only played one game against the Bucs.
One game.
But we'll see this week at home against Washington. He should light it up. I don't know. Do you see him not lighting it up in that game?
No, I don't. I see him lighting it up in that
game.
Yeah,
exactly. So,
I mean, listen, I agree with you. And my pick last week didn't fare too poorly. It was Teddy Bridgewater of the New Orleans Saints. They won handily on the road in Seattle. But I think David's right here. If this kid's got it, I mean, one game, that's the skeptical part. He's already got a nickname. One game in the NFL, that's the skeptical part.
Can you think of an NFL quarterback, though, that had a better first start besides Mahomes?
Yeah, that was the only one.
Yeah.
That was the only one.
I can't off the top of my head think of one.
Aside from that pick, Darnold really lit it up. That's all I'm saying.
It's true. But the defense did too, and that's where some of the scoring came from, Looster. We'll leave that out. What was I going to say? Yeah, I think out of all of the quarterbacks, this is what I'll say about Daniel Jones. I think out of all the quarterbacks, he has the highest ceiling out of any of them.
I agree. I think it was unbelievably impressive what he did. I wasn't expecting it at all. Dave, I will give you props. You called it. I was with Lawrence. I was on the Teddy Bridgewater train. But Daniel Jones was, I think, to a degree, Teddy Bridgewater won. I think that Daniel Jones electrified the game. Like, Daniel Jones was the headliner, and I think that when you're talking about what was it, 6 new starting quarterbacks, that's the one people were talking about. That all Twitter the next day was all Daniel Jones, and I'm super excited to see what he does to a poor Redskins team. Because that, I think, is the big thing is you come with the adrenaline and the excitement of week 1 and they're your first start and you absolutely light it up. And now let's see what you do on week 2 when that's not there. And if he doesn't have a great game, I think what's so interesting about it too is we're talking about one single game. And now if he has a bad second game, we're talking about 2 games of an NFL career. And if it's part of me hopes it's polar opposites because it's going to be hilarious if he has a bad game to just see Twitter blow up and call him a bust. And we're talking about 2 weeks of football. Look, I think that part will be interesting, but if he lights it up, I think that's a lot of momentum for New York that they can keep rolling.
Are you guys really going to make me be different? Are you guys really going to do that to me?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, guys. So Ryan nailed it on the head here. And I'm not buying into this Daniel Jones stuff at all yet. I am not ready because that's one game that he should not have won. Do I think Daniel Jones played very well that game? Absolutely. Do I think that Tampa should have nailed that field goal? Absolutely. And now he's going to go into Washington. He's going to light them up, or he's going to stay home. Washington come to him, and he's going to light it up. And everyone's going to be sold on Daniel Jones. But when he has to play Minnesota and he loses 35-10, they're going to crucify him. They're going to rip him to shreds. They're just going to not be able to process the fact that this guy was supposed to go 14 straight wins. And they're not going to be able to handle it. Well, it's not realistic, but that's the way New York fans think. They're irrational. They can't have any other thought than being perfect. So I think that Daniel Jones, while he did look really good and he probably will have a few more great games under his belt, I'm going to switch what you guys have said. I'm sold on Teddy Bridgewater. I think this was the first game that they didn't get screwed by a ruling in quite some time. And he looked good. He looked really good. Seattle made it a close game, but Bridgewater held his own. New Orleans is a very good team, even if they had a very slow start. So I think Bridgewater, I think they might hold back on, reserving Drew for when he's ready. I know that the timetable is 6 to 8 weeks, but, that might not be totally accurate. And if it's not, I think they're going to have no problem keeping Teddy in there. All right. Everyone seems to be on board with that.
Yeah.
So last week we began our weekly predictions for the NFL. And after our first weekend, here are our standings. David is in first place with 4 points. Ryan is in second with 3. Lawrence is in third place with 2. And I am in dead last with 0. So let's go ahead and
that is a full update with all 4 people included. Very good job. It's nice to finally have you do your job.
Ryan is hinting at the point that I made a comment about the Sunday night game and did not include Lawrence in it, even though it would have been very easy to decrypt where Lawrence would fall in the standings if you just did a little bit of math. But Ryan was very upset that I omitted Lawrence from the text, even though I did provide full rankings later. Now,
do you actually have my back, Ryan Hicks? I'm flattered.
I was genuinely upset that there was only 3 people in there. I fought for you to delay the pod week 1. I wanted a full update.
Now,
who is this guy?
May I? I think Ryan was upset that I did it. I don't think Ryan was upset that there were 3 people. I think Ryan was upset that I did 3 people.
Now you're
if it was
questioning
David,
me,
I don't think it would have been a problem.
Nope.
But that's just me. All right. So we'll do predictions in order of the standings. So, David, you are our leader. What's your 1-point pick for week 4?
All right, so this one is something I don't think you guys are gonna like once again. So I'm gonna preface this by saying all mine are dogs, though, just to give you guys a little idea.
Whoa. Wow.
Which once I finished, I was like, I don't know if I want to stay with this, but I ended up sticking with it. So
Good
my number
man.
1 point pick is going to the Tampa Bay Bucks, getting 9.5 at the Rams. It's their D line looks like one of the best D lines in all football. Maybe better than the Rams. They play that same kind of ball, explosive type offenses. I know the Bucks haven't looked that way, but I mean, well, I guess the Giants they did actually, but they have the ability to explode. And I just think 9.5 is way too much for a team that is that live on offense.
All right, Ryan, go ahead.
Alrighty, I am taking two atrocious teams, and one of them has to win a football game. I'm taking Pitt with 4 versus Cincy. Pitt's 0-3, Cincy's 0-3. Someone's got to win their game. I like the home team. I like Pitt. I'm taking the Steelers at -4 against Cincy because I think Cincy's really bad, and I think Pittsburgh's just bad.
Very
Yeah.
fair. Lawrence, go
Me
ahead.
now?
Yep. Yeah, it's all you.
Thank you, Luke. My 1 point pick is the only underdog that I am taking this week. I'm going with the away Minnesota Vikings getting 3 points in Chicago. It's going to be interesting to see how Minnesota can run the ball, considering Chicago is extremely good on defense. Their D line was
Very
a little
well built.
banged up at the end of the last game. I definitely should have checked the injury report before I came on the podcast. So that's my fault. But Minnesota's been running the ball like crazy. And if Chicago can't stop the run, I think Minnesota might just be a fundamentally better team. Their defense is good enough to stop Chicago's offense. I'll take the points on the road.
All
I
right.
think Minnesota's coached better too. I need to bring that up.
Yep, I agree with you. Totally.
You're very right, David.
I think they're fundamentally a better football team.
Yeah.
But Soldier
And-
Field
and-
scares me. And if they stop Dalvin Cook, Minnesota hasn't thrown the ball all year.
And Mitch Trubisky
Chicago.
hasn't been much of a quarterback either this year, so you also have that going for you.
It's true.
All
He
right,
looks like
and
a bum.
Yeah.
he looks bad. He looks really, really bad.
3
all
Taylor
right.
Gabriel touchdowns really bailed him out on Monday night.
Would you believe that my father called that? He was like, Trubisky's going to be terrible this year. And I didn't believe him. I laughed at him, actually.
Whoops. All right, and to close out the 1 point picks, we have our first head-to-head matchup of the week. David, I'm going against you. I'm taking the Rams -9.5 against the Bucks. I think they got a nice little gut check last week against the Giants. I think it's going to shatter the confidence a little bit. They were really relying on Mike Evans the other weekend, and the Rams are a former Super Bowl team. I know they aren't the Giants that they were last year, but I still think this team is incredible. They have all the weapons that they need to, and I think with that said, I think Tampa Bay is just not going to be able to bring it when it comes to the Rams. So I'm taking them.
Rams just aren't that good, man. They're
We'll see.
overrated.
We'll see. Clearly,
Todd Gurley's been an interesting storyline too. He's been
Quiet.
non-existent.
It's that knee arthritis. He's got
Which-
full-blown arthritis in his knees. I mean, he's not going to ever be the same.
Yeah, it's been super great for my fantasy team. Very
What
helpful.
pick did you take him with?
I don't remember.
Was it earlier than like 18?
Yes.
That was a bad choice, Ryan.
Pretty much won me my league last year, so
Yeah, no, fair. That is fair.
back to the well. Should never go back
Yep.
to the well.
I went back to the well.
All right, David, 2 point pick. Go right ahead.
So my 2 point pick, I was really torn between these 2 and 3. I was equally confident, so I flipped a coin to see which would be my 2 and 3. But so I'm going to go with, once again, at my number 2, the Cleveland Browns. This time, though, they're on the road getting 7 points against Baltimore. Kind of the same reasoning as last week. I don't think Baltimore's what they've been showing. They beat up on the Dolphins and Cardinals. Those are bad football teams. They scored a lot against the Chiefs, who really aren't that defensively talented. And the Browns are way too talented to be getting that much. They haven't put it together coaching-wise. Their coach looks like an idiot. Like, I think I could do a better job out there. But that's going to happen eventually. So it could be now. And 7's a big number.
Good math, David. Good math. Ryan,
Yep.
go ahead.
Yeah, very good, Matt.
I am taking another home team. I'm going Houston at -4 versus Carolina. Again, I just with Newton out, and I just think the Carolina Panthers just aren't playing great football. I think that McCaffrey's kind of the one shining star on that team, and I like Watson against that defense. I think that he is just a solid dual threat quarterback who's going to ball out, and I just don't see any way where Houston loses this game against Carolina. So I'm taking Houston, my 2-point pick.
Lawrence, go ahead.
So this is going to be my second road team. All three of my picks are road teams, and I really don't like that.
2 road favorites.
2 road favorites, correct. I'm going with the Pats, laying 7 in Buffalo. Buffalo had some weak opponents. The Patriots are just goddamn good. They make a statement to the other 3-0 team in their division and wallop the Bills at home.
Well, Lawrence, this really goes against you. You know, it's road team and in division. This goes against everything you believe in.
I know. Well, listen, this isn't my survivor pick. I'm betting against the spread here.
That's very fair.
That's true. It's
right.
That's going to be the biggest game in Western New York in the past 20 years, though.
Oh yeah, it's true.
So they will show up, that crowd, and they're going to be the Bills Mafia is going to be rowdy.
Bills Mafia will be in effect, full
effect this Sunday afternoon. It'll be fun to watch, actually. A lot of fun to watch.
All right, and since my pick was already taken this round, I will keep it brief. I'm taking Houston minus 4.5 against Carolina. Normally, I hate taking games right after a new quarterback plays hot, but I just don't think that Kyle Allen is going to have the weapons to take it to Houston. I think the Houston offense is one of the better ones in the league. J.J. Watt is historically one of the best players in the NFL we've seen in our generation, in this decade. So I think that Houston will be just fine with 4.5 points. I don't think Kyle Allen is going to be able to overcome that.
Was it 4 or 4.5?
I had my line at 4.5.
Oh, it might have changed. I looked at it this morning.
It's 4 at the moment.
Is
okay,
it?
It's 4.
Yeah.
So I will change mine then. All right, David.
It probably won't matter. I mean, they're probably not going to win by 4 anyway. That's a weird number.
A push is a loss anyway. So,
right.
David,
So
take
it won't make a difference.
David, take us home.
So my 3-point pick is going to be the Tennessee Titans getting 4 at the Atlanta Falcons. I know. Look at Luke.
What?
I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
I think the Falcons are a bad football team. Same reason I picked the Colts over them last week is my 3. They're really not that good. They had one good game against the Eagles, and Wentz played terribly that game. They should not have won the Eagles. The Eagles lost. They should have won. The Falcons got lucky to win that game. They really should be an 0-3 football team, but they're not capped like one in Vegas. So I'm taking advantage of that 4 points. Tennessee's got a very good defense, too. Their offense is a little bit of a question mark, and their quarterback, we don't even know if Mariota's going to be there long term.
May I?
Sure.
A little bit of a question mark.
Well, they run the ball well. I mean, look at Derrick Henry's numbers, and he's a feature back. He's a very talented running back. It's getting close to the point where they bench Mariota for Tannehill, though. I think we may be seeing that next week. But, Mariota knows that, and he's going to go out there guns blazing. He's going to try his ass off. So those are my 3.
Ryan?
All dogs.
All righty. I am taking a road team, and I'm taking the homeboys, the New England Patriots, minus 7 at Buffalo. I feel like this is just an easy one to pick when I saw it. My biggest thing here, and I don't think they have gotten enough credit, is the Patriots defense, who have still not let up a touchdown this season. Good job, Jarrett Stidham, for your pick 6 and your the muff fumble by Gunner for the Jets scoring 14 points. However, this defense hasn't let up a touchdown since the AFC Championship game, which is absurd. I think that this defense just shuts the Bills down. I don't think this defense is getting enough credit because of the sideshow that the Antonio Brown situation has been. But I think as this season goes on, especially with the injuries on the offensive side of the football and the offensive line is just slowly deteriorating, that this defense carries this team through the first 6 or 7 games until they get healthy and ready to go again. If the Patriots lose this game, I would be blown away.
Don't have to lose though, right? I just have to win by less than 7.
I don't think
they can win by 6.
I don't think that's gonna be a problem. I think they win by 10, if not 14.
Throw a teaser out there then, Hicksy. Come to Jersey for the weekend.
I will be locked inside of the study room for the weekend.
That's my guy. All right, my 3-point pick. It was tough that I didn't make them my 3-point pick last week when I took the Cowboys to cover against the Dolphins. And it's really scary because San Diego's on the road and they're not that good of a football team and they're really injured. But the Dolphins are really bad.
They are really bad.
Really bad. They're really, really bad. I'm laying the 15.5 in their building. Got to do it.
I want to know.
Gotta do it.
At the end of the season, I want to total the total spread the Dolphins had. It's got to be the highest ever at the rate they're going.
They're the worst football team I ever seen. They really are.
Incredible. It's incredible.
If I read the stat correctly, I may have misread this, but I'm pretty sure CBS Sports said that the Dolphins have already let up the most yards in a season in NFL history. I know they're being outscored worse than both 0-16 teams. So I think this has to be through the games. It's got to be through the games.
Yeah. Okay, that I believe. Yeah,
that definitely.
That I would expect.
Because they're being outscored tremendously through these games. Way worse than the Browns and the Lions ever.
They're worse than the Marlins are. Imagine being a Miami fan right now. You got nothing. The Heat are awful too. Yeah, but at least you have teams that aren't the Marlins and Dolphins and Heat.
Hey. Quick trip up to Sunrise. See my guy Sergei Bobrovsky in the Panthers uniform.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, what was their record last year?
They didn't have Bobrovsky.
You think they're going to be? I mean, I don't know. Let's a little early to talk about hockey.
This year.
And
You're right.
Trocheck is back.
Wait till October.
And Quinville.
And you.
All right. I'm going to try and get my pick. I'm going to get my pick in.
I've done it.
Before Lars talks about all his favorite tangents and all his favorite places to road trip from Miami. My 3-point pick, I got this a little note from my lovely cousin. I'm taking the Colts -7 against the Raiders. And the reason I'm doing this is because Jacoby Brissett is playing as advertised. Jacoby Brissett's actually a good quarterback. Marlon Mack has been doing a fantastic job. That O-line is what we know it is. And Oakland's really bad. Oakland's a really bad football team. They had Antonio Brown, which is their one redeeming part, and now it's gone. Terrell
Williams.
What?
No, I'm kidding. I said Terrell Williams, but I was kidding.
I think the Colts are going to ball out in this game. I think Oakland is just going to pray that Darren Waller can, catch for 400 yards, and I don't think that's going to be enough to get them through the game. I think this is a lock for Indy. So he's hoping they cover.
I think 7.5 is way too much, man. The Colts aren't that good. I don't know.
I should be more confident in your team than you are, David. Come on.
Maybe. I mean, I think they'll win the football game definitely, but they may win by 3. Who cares what they win by from the coaching standpoint? If you're the Colts coach, you don't care what much you win by. You just win a football game.
That's very fair. All right. Well, those are our picks for week 4. We'll lock those bad boys in, and now we'll switch sports. Let's talk about the MLB.
Not much left.
Sad. Everyone's nodding their heads like we shouldn't be talking about the MLB. Is everyone okay?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you really talk about is the AL wild card. Everything else is locked up.
Yeah, Dave.
And we're all sad.
So, yeah.
Yeah. This is our last show before the MLB playoffs begin. Like David said, the AL is still looking for their wild card teams, with the Indians only a game and a half behind the Rays. And the NL is looking for their wild card participants, with all the teams clinching, but waiting to see if the Brewers or the Cardinals will take the NL Central. So before we get into the Mets season coming to an end last night, how about we do a quick thing of predictions? Let's talk about our World Series matchups and who do we have going in.
Oh, I wish I had a little bit of a heads up. I know nothing about the MLB.
Ryan, it's the Astros or the Yankees and the Dodgers. Come on, you know how this game works. It's baseball.
Yeah, it's pretty much one of those 3.
Much it, yeah.
All right, cool.
All right, so that's it. That's all we have to talk about. It's it's those 3 teams, and
you haven't picked one,
top
Mark.
Heavy. Okay, so you're forcing me to pick between the Yankees and the Astros.
Your podcast.
I was gonna change it up in the National League, actually.
Go ahead, David. David, kick us off.
Really?
So you want me to just go World Series or all the other crap or nah?
Yeah, do whatever you want, Dave.
Yeah, I'll just do the World Series. Yeah, there's too much going on. So my World Series matchup, I'm going to have the New York Yankees facing the Washington Nationals. And the reason that I'm picking this is because I think there's only one team in the National League that has any semblance of a chance to beat the Dodgers. And it's the Nationals because of that pitching staff. Because they could just have Strasburg, Corbin, and Scherzer throw 3 shutouts, and that's it. The Dodger season's over, and there's nothing they can do about it. Now the Dodgers have almost as good pitching staff, and they're the only other team I think that has that tier left in pitching. I mean, in the National League, I'm saying there's Houston over there too. So I mean, because we're not betting money on it, and this is just my hot take for the show, I'm going to take Yankees over Nationals.
David, if I may.
You do remember that. Good.
David, if I may, I understand that as the baseball postseason progresses, you become less and less reliant on your actual bullpen. But you do know that the Nationals bullpen still does exist, right?
I do.
You know how
but
bad
hey,
they
man,
are.
I mean,
right?
bullpens are weird. Weird things happen, and then in the playoffs, you're going to stretch your starter.
Yeah,
in that
you're right.
scenario,
Like,
Scherzer would throw 9.
Jerry Familia
Now, the
can come
thing
in.
is,
He
they're
can
going to
ruin
have
your
to burn
chances to the
him.
World Series. It can happen.
The thing is, they're going to have to burn Scherzer in the wild card game, though, which means he may be back for Game 3 of the DS, but if they're up, he won't pitch till Game 4. If they're down 2-0, he will definitely start Game 3. Right, he will start Game 3. If it's 1-1 or they're up, then he's not going to throw Game 3. He'll throw Game 4.
Lawrence?
Yeah, I don't believe you. I mean, it's the Washington Nationals. The clubhouse is cursed. They don't win. They just don't win. I'm going Yankees Dodgers. It's the only conceivable thing. Houston's pitching
win,
scares me. Oh, the World Series.
Yeah.
I do have to predict that, don't I? I really don't want to say the Yankees. But it
I
feels
said
like
it.
it's
I
going to
think
be
it's
the
gonna happen.
Yankees. I know.
They're
it really
just
feels
better
like it's going to
than
be them.
Houston. They really are,
Well,
honestly.
their pitching does concern me, though, because Houston's pitching is so far better than theirs.
We didn't talk about last week how Domingo Germán got put on what was the exempt list or whatever in baseball.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I take it back. How many games are left in the season? I don't feel good about this until I know who's the home team because I'm picking the home team.
4 including today, right? It's Thursday, so Thursday,
So
Friday,
the
Saturday,
Astros,
Sunday.
you know what? Complete flop. The Yankees are going down, and that organization sucks. Houston wins Game 7, ALCS in Minute Maid Park, if that's still the name of the building they play in.
It is.
And,
I think. Maybe not.
because I think, it definitely has the potential to go 7, and I like the home team. So
Ryan, I'm not going to make you answer if you don't want to. But I think we see a repeat, and I think this is the year the Dodgers take it over the Astros. I think that the Astros pitching is just way too good not to beat the Yankees. And while the Yankees bats have the beat pretty well, I think that pitching goes off very long way in the postseason, and that's going to carry the Astros. And when it just comes down to it,
I'll answer.
No, go ahead, David.
I would say Greinke's not what he used to be, though.
You're right. But they have 2 potential Cy Young candidates on their team.
That is true.
And that matters a lot.
All you got to do is beat 1 once, though.
That's true. We've seen it before. The Mets have taken down Kershaw, no problem. But I think that the Astros are just going to take it over the Yankees. And I think the Dodgers are just a really well-rounded team, and I think this is the year the NL takes it back.
I hope so, man. I can't stand to see the Yankees championship.
God, no. Please, no.
I think I'd jump.
Ryan,
say it ain't so.
Ryan, you can't complain. We hate the Yankees here. We all dislike the Yankees here. But you have too many championships to complain about the Yankees getting another one.
Especially winning last. Well, I mean, no, I don't know. He can complain about it. He did win last year.
David's just looking for companionship in this problem here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why are we hating on him for hating them?
No, I'm not hating on him for hating them. I'm saying like he can't bear to see another Yankees championship. Like it would kill him.
I believe it would.
He gets one every other seasonal cycle. Ryan gets one.
Even if we won in 2015, I would not be okay with seeing them win again. That's not okay.
Yeah,
I hate the Yankees.
I think we all do.
Yeah, we all do. That's our one bonding factor.
So now that that's over, let's talk about the Homer. Let's talk about the Homer team. So after last night, after a big win in Citi Field, the Mets season has come to an end as the Brewers go on to clinch the final wild card spot. Lawrence, what's your biggest takeaway from this year?
That's a really, really, really heavy question to ask a Met fan right now.
That is a very heavy question.
It's a really, really heavy question. It's Pete right off the bat. You know, you see the one shining light, and there's hope for next year, right? I mean, Cespedes might be a shell of himself.
Might be.
Yeah, he might be a shell. He hasn't played baseball in 2 years.
He will be.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cespedes will be a shell of himself. We still don't have a center fielder. The infield's now cluttered because you paid Cano and Rosario broke out and J.D. Davis hit over 300 and McNeil exists. Hello.
J.D. Davis is not an infielder, though.
Right. So, but my point is that
how sad is that he is, though?
That's the thing. Yeah. So he's going to play left field. Yoenis Cespedes is on our team. We extended him, and J.D. Davis should play left field next year. As sad as it is, we don't have a center fielder.
Nimmo.
And our bullpen is complete garbage.
What's wrong with Nimmo?
So what's up?
What's wrong with Nimmo? Brandon Nimmo playing
center.
I
mean, you know, it's good, but he's bad defensively.
Yeah, fair.
He was hurt a lot this year.
Yeah, and he's not exactly a Gold Glove winner out there.
Right, and he's a perfectly good guy. I mean, listen, the Mets have played literally every position player they have at every position on the field. He can come in and fill in anywhere, it seems like. So while it's good that we're seeing the light, we finished over 500, it's the same goddamn cycle that the Mets put you in literally every single goddamn year. Brody Van Wagenen's going to come out and he's going to be like, we were right there. This organization's not a train wreck. We're on the right track. And next year, we're going to have a terrible year. And 1 year from now, we're going to be doing this podcast saying shit. Do you remember when Lauren said we're going to feel exactly how we felt last year? Because that's what always happens with the Mets. And there it is.
David, do you want to say anything before I agree with Lawrence?
I get the feeling that it will be a similar feeling at this time next year, but who knows? There could be a playoff appearance. I don't think that there'll be a championship one anytime soon, but I would be happy just to get back into the postseason and have something to root for. I think, though, there's 4 big things that I would look at. I'll make this quick because I don't want to go off on a tangent here. But 1 is Callaway going to come back. 2 is Alonso going to break the record. 3 is DeGrom going to win the Cy Young. And then 4, what do you do next? That's really the biggest one, I think, as this organization. Because, I mean, they can't just take this as we're right there. We don't have to do anything. We're just going to go into next year with this team. They can't do that. You know?
They're going to do it. They're going to do that, though.
No, they're going to do something. They got to do something.
They won't do it, Lawrence, and here's why. Because if I know anything about the Mets management and how incompetent they are, there's a few things we need. We need 1 more fielder. We need a complete revamp of the bullpen, and we need a big bat. So what do the Mets do? Say it again, Ryan?
And a new medical staff.
And a new medical staff.
They did that 2 years ago.
So those 3 things, a center fielder, a bullpen, and a big bat, what are the Mets going to do? They're going to go sign a shortstop because that's what the Mets do. They oversaturate where they don't have to.
The guy I'm looking at that we're probably not going to get, but if you're smart and you have the money, is going to be Anthony Rendon. But it's not going to happen.
Yep.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
But if Brody had the ability to spend as much money as he wanted, he would go sign Rendon, and then we'd be short up with the bat in the lineup. I mean, you can honestly platoon in center fields. You could figure it out. But maybe sign a center fielder. That would be nice. And the bullpen's got to be redone.
But it won't be. That's the thing. Wilson's going to come back in Familia's book for the next 2 years.
Well, Wilson is good.
And Diaz.
Great, honestly.
But pay Diaz nothing, so he's got to come back.
Here. Diaz has got to go. He's got to go.
Yeah. Listen though, you're literally paying him dog shit money because he's young and he was the biggest piece in this goddamn trade. Are you really? After 1 year, this kid was an all-star last year. I get that, but don't you give him one more year?
No.
Don't you give him 1 more year, David? He's
going to go somewhere and light it up anyway.
Prospects for a young stud reliever that made an all-star game. He had 1 bad year. You have to see if he can turn it around. You pay him nothing.
It is true, you
Nothing.
do pay him nothing.
That's the thing.
But you're gonna let him now blow games, because I mean, if he
We already
lose,
did.
but I know, but why would you do it again? Because we could be in that wild card spot if he didn't blow
Yeah, but
10 games.
maybe he's not the closer at the start of next year, and then if he gets his stuff back, he becomes a closer. There's a lot of different things you can do. You pay him $900K.
No, it's like
David,
600.
Yeah.
to make a new twist on an old favorite, I'm going to kind of twist a little bit of a Brody Van Wagenen quote for you. The Mets can't sign Rendon. The infield is too crowded. Where's J.D. Davis going to play?
He's an outfielder.
That's the thing.
So
That was
is
the whole.
McNeil, and so is Conforto, and so is Nimmo, and so is Cespedes.
Yeah, the quote, the original quote
And
was
you
my
get
favorite
5
quote
outfielders
of
who's
any.
going to rotate.
My favorite
So
quote of
nothing.
any sports owner of all time is, "We can't sign Bryce Harper. The outfield is too crowded. Where's second baseman Jeff McNeil going to play?" It's my favorite quote by any sports owner of all time. But I think this begs some questions because I don't think the Mets are going to change much. But two things that I'm a little concerned about, or just kind of want a feeler on. First off, Marcus Stroman, will we see him again in the blue and orange? Second of all, between the three of us, there was a little bit of hesitation from two of us over Jacob deGrom's contract coming into this year.
Good point.
So after a second Cy Young, hopefully, was it worth it, David?
Yeah, it really should be. There's 3 or 4 more now. I think I was wrong to say that it wasn't good. Look at it now. Look what he's doing, and he's here for the long haul now. He's here for 5 years. I think, though, something I wanted to bring up is that he has a really unique opportunity right now. Something that we haven't seen in a while. We go back to the Ed Kranepool rant, how the Mets don't have a forever player. If he sticks out these 5 years, wins the second Cy Young this year, maybe a third one later, he should be a Hall of Fame pitcher. I think there's only one pitcher who won 2 Cy Youngs and didn't make the Hall of Fame in back-to-back years, that is. It was Tim Lincecum, by the way. But he could become the forever player that the Mets don't have, and he could forever be that guy for us. So that's something to look forward to. If he wins this Cy Young this year especially, that's a big deal. You got to really see where he ends up in all-time wins, though, because right now I think he's number 10. I'm going to double-check those numbers.
He's number 10.
But if he gets to top 2, top 3, he could be our guy.
It's true.
And
You got to factor in
point.
his age, though, because he
Right.
did start very late.
But there are 4 more years, and this is a chance to only be a Mets player, too. Not like Seaver, who had his 300th win in Chicago, and threw his no-hitter in Cincinnati. It's kind of just setting up for him to not play anywhere else right now, ever,
An interesting point my father brought up yesterday. He was talking about the captaincy in baseball and how it's kind of a dying breed and how people are starting to kind of think about bringing it back. And someone suggested they throw the captaincy on Pete over Jake.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pete already is the captain. You don't have to give it to him.
Yeah.
It already happened. The locker room knows it. It's just not public.
I wholeheartedly agree with him. I do.
Because, Jake only
agree
plays 1 every 5 games. You can't have a captain pitch 5th of the day or 5th of the season. You know what I mean? Captain's got to play every day.
But would you say that Clayton Kershaw isn't fit to be the captain of the Dodgers?
No, because he only plays 20% of the games. The captain of the Dodgers right now would be Justin Turner or Cody Bellinger. I think Turner's more of a character, though, in the locker room. He's the guy. He's the rah-rah guy,
All right. Let's hear the yells coming my way. I'm ready for them. I would rather give the captaincy to Todd Frazier over Pete Alonso.
Well, he doesn't have a team.
He's gone next year. Yeah.
He has 4 days left.
Yeah.
Is his contract already up?
It was only a 2-year deal. Yeah.
Already?
Yeah,
Oh, wow. I thought he had an extra year on.
No, it's
Let's
just
try
it was
salt
2
and pepper
yeah.
shirt
Yeah, he's
guy.
done. That's why I think Rendon's a possibility, but it's not.
Yes.
Because someone's going to play at third base, and they can't just say, yeah, Jed Lowry can do it. So I'd like to see Rendon.
It's a joke.
Stroman will be back next year. I don't know if he's going to stay long-term, though. He still has a year left.
He has
No,
1
he
year left,
doesn't.
and we're losing.
He
Yeah,
does.
let's make. He
Does
does.
he? Contract.
I think it's an option though. I forget if it's player or team.
We're not going to – I think it's a team
team
option,
control?
I'm pretty sure, and we're not going to let him
Pretty
go.
sure. Yeah, no way, because we're losing Wheeler this year, so Stroman will definitely be back at least.
And we'll
next
trade him at the deadline if we have to.
Yeah, we don't have. Ryan is so miserable right now listening to all this Mets talk.
He is.
I haven't said a word in 20 minutes.
I know.
I'm
Let's
still here.
mailbag it. Let's mailbag.
Okay, we're
yeah,
ready for some mailbag? David, are you
Let's
okay
do
with some mailbag?
Of course. Let's do it.
Okay, mailbag for episode 3. All right, Tom Kamal asked.
Mailbag.
We need a mailbag graphic.
I will work on that. All
Mailbag.
right, ready? Let's put it in right here. Okay.
Yeah, right there.
Mailbag.
We'll put it in right there.
All right. So, Tom Kamal asks, do we need a separate award for best player versus the MVP? And if so, why haven't we done it already?
Yeah, which sport is he referring?
I think
Or all
sports
of them?
general, because I think it could be, obviously the NBA needs it. But Tom didn't list a sport, but I think it could go for any sport, really.
Well, I think in hockey, the award essentially is the best player. I don't think that they look at the MVP the way the other leagues do. And the NBA kind of also, because I remember Russell Westbrook won 2 years ago, being the 6th seed. He just averaged a triple double, which, I mean, when's the last time that's happened? I think, though, I mean, football only gives it to quarterbacks, and baseball is definitely not the best player in the league. It sometimes is. Like this year, Mike Trout will be the AL MVP because he is so good. But in the National League, it has to be a team that's a Dodgers player, really. That's just what it comes down to. It's going to be Bellinger because he's on the Dodgers.
The only thing a best player award would do is give us another thing to argue about,
That's
and
true.
another thing
Also
to
true.
scrutinize, and then eventually it really wouldn't be the best player. It would probably end up being the best player from the championship team or the best player from that. Like they'd go back and forth, and it would end up being the same thing that the MVP is now in that whole debate. So I don't really think there should be one. There's enough lists and this and that, and there's enough awards to go around that are we just creating awards now to help people's resumes, to help them get into the Hall of Fame? Like, what is the point? What do you gain from adding a best player in the league award? I just don't. I don't see any value to it. The most valuable player, hypothetically, should be the person that elevated their team the most. And I understand it's not that, and that's how we've gotten into this rabbit hole of arguing. And I just think that the best player would be that exact same thing. And then what happens? Should the best player and the MVP not be the same? If one wins one, do you not win the other? I think that a best player award is just another way for us to give another award so someone's Wikipedia page is a little bit longer. I really don't see any benefit that it has to the actual sport. And at the end of the day, I really want to know how much players put weight into that. I think that the NBA is particular because the NBA is a bunch of divas who just want to make themselves look good, and that's why James Harden goes on and on and on about
what kind of paycheck an MVP is worth in the NBA?
A lot, and that's why I get that. But at the same time, the NBA salary is ridiculous. You have 6th, 7th, and 8th guys signing absurd contracts, more than a top center in the NHL could make sometimes. So I just don't. I just think it would be just. I think we're going down that road of everyone gets a trophy. Let's make a best wide receiver trophy and a best running back trophy and a best quarterback trophy and a best second line.
There is a best running back trophy.
Penalty. There's a trophy. That's my point.
It's called Offensive Player of the Year.
Who are we going to give the best second power play unit / third line center award to? That's just enough. Enough with the awards.
We've awoken something deep in Ryan.
I just think
he did not expect talking about today.
I just think it's just we just want to give awards. It's just something to argue about and something to put on a Wikipedia page. And do you really want to be the guy who won the best player award in 2022, or do you want to be the guy that won the award that's been around since the league was created? That's my opinion.
It's not a bad point.
Let's just give trophies to everyone.
Hockey does it in a really convoluted way, though. We don't think of. I think
it's generally just whoever has the most points.
Right, but that's the Art Ross, right? But
right.
When you have something like the Hart, which is MVP, and then the Ted Lindsay, which is MVP, based on votes by the Players Association instead of the hockey writers, it's already convoluted, and people think the Hart means more. And I agree with Ryan; it's irrelevant. I mean, I think trophies are trophies, and MVP will always be MVP, and there's no reason to make it more convoluted than it already is.
I would love to spend a segment on how confusing hockey awards are, because you have the sportsmanship, and then you have the good person, and then you have the great goalie, and then the good goalie statistically, and
right. Well, that's my point. Is that they're the only league that has basically 2 MVPs.
That tries to cover all the
by the writers, and the other voted by the Players Association. And does anyone give a literal shit about the Ted Lindsay Award? Not really. So
Unless you're a third grader writing a report on your idol and you go to their Wikipedia page to write down all the awards. Seriously, like that's my point with all this. It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
Reason why Dominic Moore is the best Bruin. I'm going on.
Mailbag.
Mailbag.
Yeah, next question.
Lawrence and David. Kyle Calhoun wants to know: will the Mets have a better or worse record next season?
Well, the record right now is still to be determined, I believe. Right? I mean, what's the score right now?
Let's
see what I think.
Are they 5 games over 500? Will the Mets finish 5 games over 500 next year?
Well, I mean, they could finish 9 over this year if they went out. You know, I mean, that's,
David's very concerned about the exact.
Like those 3 games could be the difference. Absolutely, I think that they'll probably win like 87 or 88 next year, and they're probably going to win like 86 or 87 this year. So they're probably the same. If they could get to 90, I'd be shocked, thoroughly impressed.
I don't know. I don't.
Okay.
My gut says under.
I was going to say, my vote is under, but David, I want you to do me a favor. I need you to write something down for me. If this time next year the Mets do better by 3 games, I want you to cite this podcast, call me out, tell me I was wrong.
What if it's 2 games? I mean, the difference is the 4 left.
I understand, David. I'm trying to make fun of you. You're just not letting me.
I know, that's the point.
All right.
I think it'll be better.
Kirsten Coding wants to know: are the Jets always going to disappoint me for the rest of my life? And I don't think you can answer that because I believe that's a 4-way unanimous yes.
I think they'll win a Super Bowl in your lifetime. I do.
God, I hope you're right.
I do. I think they'll get one. I don't think they're apathetic.
Justin Surrey said it best. You remember when all those old people were celebrating when the Cubs won the World Series? That'll be us when the Jets win.
I don't think it'll be that bad either.
I think we'll be that old. All right.
I mean, I think Darnold will have a good career. But hey, whatever. Who knows?
He's got to stop making out with girls first.
That's my guy.
But side tangent question. If you get a top 3 pick this year, do you take one of these stud quarterbacks and give up on Darnold?
Nope.
No.
Okay. I'm just, I'm just
back,
curious.
get an O-lineman and help someone.
I think if I had a chance to get like Tua or Ellinger, I might do it.
Nope.
Already got our guy. All right.
Glad you have faith in him.
Curveball question. Caroline Gates wants to know: what sport is superior, ping pong or curling?
Curling.
I'm partial to curling, yeah.
All right. Hold up.
Yeah, Lawrence, lay the stat down.
Hold up. You're never gonna sit down and watch either sport unless it's in the Olympics, right?
That is true.
You, on average, probably watch more ping pong highlights throughout the year than curling highlights because it's a more exciting sport.
Okay, that's fair.
But the U.S.
I've watched. Go ahead.
The U.S. curling team blew up for a hot second. Remember they all had the cool mustaches and everyone was
talking won a gold medal. It was cool. We never won a gold medal in ping pong, Ryan.
Right. That's my point.
So now it's an American thing, huh?
No, I'm just
it's really Canadian.
American.
Yeah, that's my point.
And ping pong is Chinese, I think. That's where the origin is. If we're going to go
here's
back,
what I'm saying.
history lesson.
There's a skating.
Go ahead, Brad.
Not a stat. I'm trying to think of the right word. There's a.
You need help with your curling lingo?
No. There is a rink going in around my neighborhood, and the original design was to not have a hockey rink and have a figure skating / speed skating and curling rink in there. And other than a friend's basement, you don't really see any competitive ping pong arenas being built in the area, but there will
be any hotel resort.
Or just go to your local rec center.
Here's my thing. Have you ever met someone who competitively played ping pong? I have met someone who has competitively curled.
I've never met a competitive ping pong player.
Yeah, neither.
Did you guys know that high schools in China do ping pong in gym class?
Yeah, I believe it.
Wait. So
I was on the invite list to join the club curling team at Quinnipiac University.
Ryan, are you saying because you know someone who professionally curls that validates it to be a more exciting sport?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? Honest to God, though, I think I go to whatever the hell that place he was talking about is before I go somewhere to play ping pong.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But you can have a ping pong table in your house at decent cost, and not.
Yeah, but what does that
curling.
normally do? You usually play it for 2 weeks, and then it collects dust for the rest of its life.
Curling is really long too, though. Ping pong is quick, but you can't really see it that well because it's a tiny table and a tiny ball.
But like, I feel like you watch more highlights. We're getting way too into this.
We are.
Caroline is gonna love
Let's
this.
vote. Let's vote.
Okay.
All for
Ping
curling,
pong,
guy.
Curling.
dead heat.
Oh,
All right, 2-2.
Ronald say ping pong.
Ping pong.
Can we put a poll up on someone's Instagram or Twitter?
Yes.
Do it.
Let's do
I'll
it.
do it. All right, David, I'll let you answer this question first because it's your little brother. Dan Acasella wants to know if the Miami Dolphins magically acquired Tom Brady, could they be a decent team?
No, no. They might win 4 games. They're probably only going to win 1 game this year, 2 maybe. I mean, it probably would only be 2 with him too because it's the worst defense there's ever been. They're going to give up 50 every game, and until he scores 50 with that trash O line and Devontae Parker being his number 1 receiver, they're not doing anything.
They literally traded their 3 best players away. I agree with David. I think he adds wins, but he does not make them a good team.
I don't know that he even could add wins. Like it's just, I think it's beyond human ability to do so. Because if the other team scores 50 or 60 every game, what are you supposed to do? That's not your fault. You know?
I think he could add wins, though.
That's just because
Not
you
a
have a
lot.
man crush on him.
True. But I also think he's that good of a quarterback.
No, I know, but there's only so much that any quarterback could do. You know?
Fair. I agree.
I think that defense is beyond repair. We'll see if Rosen can win football games with them. I think they'll probably go 0-16. They might win 1 or 2. Oh, 1 or 2 if they play a bad team, like the Jets.
All right. Now here comes the big question. Pat Pitts wants to know if you can go back in time and change one career-ending injury, who would you choose?
Oh,
David
man.
Wright, it's not close.
What would you say, David? Right?
For personal
Wright.
benefit, David Wright, but for sports
I like
in general,
that.
it would be Bo Jackson. Definitely Bo Jackson for sports. Just the whole, baseball, football, that'd be cool. To see him actually play out that football career.
I'm
I
just
respect that.
thinking off the top of my head, Mark Savard would be mine because that guy was a freaking player. And people who talk about him early in his career said that he could have been an absolute stud the way that he moved the puck and found people on the ice. I think that would be my pick because that guy's career got cut way too short thanks to we're not gonna go down that road. But
Can I cheat a little bit? Now, when we say career-ending injury, does death fall under career-ending injury? Am I allowed to cheat a little bit?
Yeah.
Because my answer would be Jose Fernandez. I think that he just had all the promise in the world, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back of the Miami Marlins franchise. It was
True, when women decided to blow it up.
When he left us. It was one of the greatest bondings. I believe today is the anniversary of D. Gordon hitting the home run. And it made one of the best moments in sports and one of the best moments in camaraderie. But that was the moment that the Marlins players stopped wanting to be there. Was when he left and they no longer had that much of a promise. Because then Giancarlo left, then D left, then Yelich left, then Ozuna left.
Not by any of their own choice, though. They were all traded.
Of course.
All traded.
But they requested trades, didn't they?
I don't believe so. I think Stanton did because he won the MVP on that team.
Yelich most definitely requested a trade.
Maybe, I
don't
know.
have a doubt in my mind.
Stanton won MVP on a team that had like 60 wins, and he was like, I mean, you gonna really do this to me?
But he had all the promise in the world, and he was a talent taken away too soon.
That's true.
I like that answer, Luke.
All right, so Mikey's expert.
Oh, still I have my own mailbag that I want to add at the end, but
okay. Mikey Zucksworth wants us to weigh in on the narrative around Nelson Aguilar, and I guess the reason he's bringing this up is because, as of last playoffs, Nelson Aguilar has a knack for dropping really clutch passes.
As of last playoffs, as of his entire life.
So Nelson Aguilar's had a really bad time catching clutch passes. But did you guys see the story about him and the firefighter?
It's hysterical.
Brian, are you caught up on this?
Oh, it was just a regular dude. It wasn't the firefighter.
Oh, yeah.
It was just a regular guy.
Oh, I thought it was a firefighter.
No, he was just
No,
he
he
ran
helped.
he helped to save people from the fire, but he
Ryan,
wasn't
are you caught
a
up on this?
firefighter.
Yeah, I am. Hilarious.
All right, so for anyone who doesn't know, a generous civilian came to help and save people from a house, from a burning building. Uh, Basically, he made a reference to the fact that he was not dropping these people like Nelson Aguilar drops balls.
It was children. It was like babies.
He specifically said babies. He was like, they was just throwing babies out the window. We was catching them, unlike Aguilar.
And in return, instead of getting mad at this guy, Nelson Aguilar offered that guy free tickets to the next Philly home game.
That's cool. Yes.
Hats off to
class.
Nelson Aguilar. What a
Absolute
classy
Absolute
move.
class. I love it.
And we've seen so many players in professional sports take that the wrong way and absolutely go the opposite direction. But this guy was really a class act. And Mikey pointed out to me that Aguilar has really stepped up with Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson being out of the mix. He's been playing his role plus a little bit more. So Mikey says, even though he gets a bad rep, do you think that Nelson Aguilar is really a bad football player?
I don't think he's a bad football player overall, but he definitely has the worst hands of any pro receiver I've ever seen. But I've been saying that for years. That's not a new thing. It just continues to be true that he can't catch. But he's really fast and really good at running routes, and he's always where he needs to be. He just doesn't always catch that ball that hits him in the hands.
Bricks for hands.
Bricks for hands, yeah. And he stepped up because there's no one else to throw to. And sometimes the ball just catches him, you know? And he catches it, but he drops so many passes. His next time you watch an Eagles game, seriously, pay attention to Aguilar. No matter what game it is, he's going to drop a pass.
Give me 5 minutes and I'll throw it on.
Yeah, actually, good point. They're playing right now.
All right. And last question before we get to Ryan. Friend of the show, Aunt Phil, has a two-parter. Aunt Phil wants to know, do we care if the Mets let go of Wheeler in free agency? And is there any shot that Mickey Callaway is a Met next year?
We're not talking about the Mets next week. There's no Mets talk next week.
No, there can't be.
Well,
There's
there won't be
nothing
any
else to
Mets talk.
about.
That's
Yeah, there won't
physically
be any.
impossible unless Alonso breaks the record.
The season's
I think
over.
we-
Yeah, we
I
could
think we
mention
covered-
Alonso breaking the record. That's it.
Yeah,
really.
that's true.
And DeGrom winning the Cy Young and what that means. But anyways,
I think we
Callaway
covered that Wheeler's gone.
Callaway will not be back. I think Wheeler will be gone. I don't know that Wheeler will be gone. I think a big thing that we're not thinking about is will Noah Syndergaard be traded? Because I think that's going to happen. And in that case, they may keep Wheeler. I do believe that Syndergaard and maybe Michael Conforto will be on the trading block this offseason.
The New York media
totally
has
buy
traded Noah
Syndergaard.
Syndergaard the last 3 years.
No. But
I know, but this is the time to actually do it.
Yeah.
And he's been nothing but a pain in the ass this season. And he's my favorite player on the team personally, and I think it's time to move on from him. And Conforto is just worth so much in a crowded outfield that you could get a ton. You can completely revamp your bullpen and pitching staff and even add an athletic center fielder if you move those two.
I'll believe those two when I see them. Ryan, take us to our last mailbag question.
All righty. So I don't know if
Mailbag.
anyone saw it, but we're talking about the Trubisky thing and his head coach. It is going all over Twitter. Told him to shut the F up in the game. It was caught on film. You could clearly see it. What? Yes, Lawrence?
Ryan, we're on a podcast, man.
It's habit. I forgot. Whatever.
No playing by the FCC rules, I see.
This Barstool then put out a tweet pretty much asking people, what is the worst thing that a coach has ever said to you? I have pretty much gone viral with my answer. I currently have 88 likes. If anyone would like to add that.
No, viral. I saw yours. It was funny. I liked it.
Thank you. It was the most I've ever
88
got.
likes, Ryan. You think that's viral? Okay, pal. We'll get there one
First
day.
time I've tweeted in 6 months. Yeah, I consider that viral.
I
So
like it.
I got a notification from my Twitter saying Ryan Hicks
Me
tweeted
too.
for the first time in a
Yes.
while.
So you all have seen my response. My response was I once had a coach tell me after a play I was coming to the bench that I was so bad at hockey that he wanted me after the game to go home, go right to the store, sell all of my gear. He then wanted me to give the money to my father and never play hockey again because it was disrespectful to anyone else who loved the sport. That is my story. I am curious if you all have any good coach stories. I got told I sucked a lot, so I got a lot of them, but I'm curious if you all did as well.
I gave a lot of thought to this because I think over my career I've had some crazy things coaches have said to me. I don't know what to really pick as the most. outrageous one, though. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I've had coaches threaten to beat me up, stuff like that. I guess that's really it. They never did it, but one of my football coaches one time said to me, "If you don't stop running around like you gotta take a shit, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you."
That's a good one.
I mean, I had to take a dump, but I was I had to drop back in coverage, like, you know, I'm doing look team defense, and I was trying to not get smashed by the starting O lineman when I was a sophomore in high school, weighing about $145, going against like 17, 18-year-old offensive linemen who played college. It's painful. So that's probably it.
There's nothing that like comes to my mind, and I think it's because when I was playing sports that weren't tame, I was younger. So I swam for a long time, and nothing came to mind. You know, swim faster, hold your breath longer.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I
didn't have anything that popped out.
I quit team sports at a very young age, so I think, and even when I did, I was bad. So I think, how mad can you get at a bench player?
There are some things, honestly, that like in wrestling, I think I've just blocked out because I can't remember them. But I remember there being some times in that wrestling room that was like crazy. Like,
I have so many good ones. So the coach who said that to me was the best coach, other than my father, because my father coached me for a very long time, and he will always be number one. But this guy is 1B. He was the best coach I ever had. It was the most fun I ever had on a team, and he was just so matter of fact to tell you how it is, and it was so funny just to how he would interact with us. Like, he would explain us drills, and then be like, "Does everyone got that?" We'd be like, "Yes," and someone would mess it up, and he would just explode on a rant about how incompetent we are. Like, this is the kind of coach one time who we were all stretching out before practice. He came out onto the ice with a trash barrel, put it on center ice, told everyone to go put our sticks on the bench because we weren't going to need them, and skated us the entire, like, just old school, great coach, awesome guy, but told me that I should sell all my gear because it was disrespectful that I played hockey to everyone who loved it.
I don't have any funny stories about
thankful.
Yeah.
I just want to say that, like, I'm pretty thankful that, you know, I can sit here and say that I played sports for a long time and that nothing that even comes close to that comes to my mind.
It builds character. I had a coach once who was like the Bad News Bear. So I was probably like a U14 baseball game. This is the last story I'll tell. And we had this guy who was battled his demons, spent a lot of time at the bar, and so it's 10, 15 minutes into when the practice was supposed to start, and he comes in with his beat up truck, music just blasting, cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and he's screaming, what the fuck? Why aren't you guys warming up? And everyone's like, "Coach, you have the balls and the bats and the helmets and the catcher's gear." And he goes, "Oh," grabs his bag and starts firing baseballs at him from the parking lot out his car to finish his cig. Like, just, I got so many good ones. It's so great.
I don't have any bad stories about myself, but I think the most unusual story I have about a coach interacting with a player was when I wrestled in 7th grade. Lawrence knows this. There was a gentleman by the name of Frank in my grade who was about 3 years older than the average age. I got held back a few times. And this kid was incredible at wrestling. This kid's average match lasted about 45 seconds. So we get close to the championship meet. We're about a meet or two out from the championship meet. And coach pulls Frank aside and goes, "Frank, you can't keep winning in the first period. You're never going to win like that." He was winning so quick. He was afraid that by the time we got to the championship meet, he was going to need to go to the second period. He wouldn't have enough stamina. So he was yelling at him for winning too quick.
That's pretty funny.
Youth sports are a beautiful thing.
Beautiful thing. All right, gentlemen. Well, that's going to do it for episode 3 of Four Guys Talking Sports, the podcast. I hope you gentlemen all had a good time.
Always
Of
good.
course,
back
of course.
to studying.
Yeah, back to schoolwork.
Until the sun comes up.
The highlight of the week.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go watch football.
Same. All right.
I'm probably
and
gonna end up watching football too.
That's going to do it for Four Guys Talking Sports. Thank you, everybody, for listening, either on YouTube or on Spotify. We appreciate it. From all of us here, my name is Luke Lagrano.
I'm Ryan Hicks.
And I'm David Acasella.
I'm Lawrence Lagrana.
Thank you again. Be sure to subscribe or to follow, and please, we'll see you next time.
Spay and neuter your pets.